Hello and welcome back to the Chris Edworthy YouTube channel. I am here today with the Rolls-Royce out the garage. She's a little bit dusty and dirty from Goodwood the other day, but I wanted to share with you what happened in relation to its MOT and after getting it back on the road, because it did cause me a couple of problems which I wasn't able to capture on camera. And I've got the boot open today because it all centres around everything that is in this boot. Now, it came back after being fixed from having the camshaft sensor replaced from Kiss, and it had sat around for quite a while, a few months. And these are really good cars for draining a battery, and it had totally exhausted the not one but two batteries on there. So when I picked it up, it did start and did run because we jump started it, but then immediately as soon as you stopped, it wasn't holding any charge. It did a little bit for the first occasion, it restarted. So to keep the car batteries nicely charged, I used a C-Tech charger, and when I came to plug it in, it seemed okay. It said it was only going to be about 2 hours to charge. But that did ring some alarm bells, because I did lend my C-Tech chargers to a friend who's got an Audi R8, and they plugged their Audi R8 in after not using it for quite some time, and it's a very low mileage car. It's only done about 4,000 or 5,000 miles in about 4 or 5 years, and they plugged it in and it came up with 2 hours charge. And he then had the problem, and I went round to see him in case he was using my charger incorrectly. And I've got one of these C-Tech, it's a bit dusty, C-Tech 1 chargers, so it links to your phone and you can see what's going on. And the other thing he had is that it was saying 2 hours and it was taking overnight and it was still say 2 hours. And when I came back to this, it had a fault on it the first time on the charger saying it couldn't charge the batteries, and then on the second occasion I came back and it was saying 2 hours charge. And it had been there for a couple of days, maybe even 3 or 4 days. So I knew I had a problem with the batteries. So part of the reason I use a C-Tech charger actually is they make the official Rolls-Royce one. But also, if I find the end of this here cable, a Rolls-Royce has its own special attachment. And it screws into the car. And that means that this is always attached, and the car knows it's there. You can actually turn the batteries off to the car as well, which I made that mistake once before, and then you drive along and it warns you that the batteries aren't charging because they're not connected to the car. They're connected, or they were connected to an external charger. So that's quite good, because you can then save some of the energy in the batteries. So if you're not going to drive it for a few days, you could stop it draining the batteries. As far as I'm aware, that's what it's for. However, so C-Tech charging aside, I need to use the car for Goodwood, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a little bit different to my normal ones. It was a pleasure to meet David Coulthard. I'll put a link up here somewhere so you can go and have a look at it. But it was a really good day out, hosted by Rolls-Royce actually. So that was really good. So let me show you what a Rolls-Royce battery setup looks like. Just wanted to say thanks to all the subscribers that did subscribe in the last couple of videos, or over the last couple of videos. It has made a big difference. We're up by about 200 odd, and I'll put my new stats on the screen so you can follow along to see how well we're doing on subscribers. It does make a massive difference to the channel. I've been trying to do some shorts for you as well, and they've been getting some really good views. But please enjoy the rest of the video, and let's get back to replacing some batteries. Now, these are the two batteries that actually I replaced as part of getting the car up together when I first purchased the car, and they are fairly sizable. If you're into your batteries, you might know what they are. I'm not good enough to know, but one's a 90 amp hour and the other's a 70 amp hour. I presume one runs the engine, I would think might be this one, and then the other and to start stop, and the other is for everything that's electronic on the car other than the main engine and turning it over. It might actually be the other way around. That might be for starting the car and that might be for running all the electrics. Who knows? Now I've got those batteries out of the way, you can see how dusty and dirty my boot is actually. But I have had to take off with these nice metal screws a trim for the car, and the trim is sat in there. I'm going to give it a clean up before I put it back and give this boot a clean, because it goes in here and you can just see little bits of it are just starting to show little signs of rust in there. Probably more from the screwdriver that's been used than anything else, although that does look a bit rusty there. So we're going to give this a clean up and a polish before putting it back. But much like these EVs these days, this Rolls-Royce actually has quite a lot of storage, because you've got a big trunk or boot, and then you've also got this hidden storage under here. You don't quite get the same on, sorry, that's my little bit of carpet just that covers up the electrics. Oh, whilst we're here, I'll just show you. I've got the cap off. That cap goes on there like that, and you can see it's got the same two charging bits. Plug that in, screw it on, and there's your ability to be able to turn on and off the batteries to the car. So that's where I'll plug it in. Special connector. I think in the later models they've now changed the style of connector. There's my fire extinguisher. Never been used, all original. Seal's never been broken. My original first aid kit and toolkit. I think it's all complete. I'm missing something there actually. If anyone knows what that is, please let me know. And the other thing I'm missing from this boot, on a side note, is this has got the additional hoops either side to be able to put not umbrellas in like you have in the front doors, but parasols for a hot sunny day, so that you can carry two of those. Now they're actually not currently manufactured by Rolls-Royce, so they're out of stock, but I've had a quote for two parasols of about £1,400 to replace those in the boot, which I'm not in a mad dash to do. We are in England after all. I'm probably better off having an umbrella rather than a parasol. So let me just battle to get these two bits out. You can then see they lift up in a bit of an odd way, one backwards, one forwards, and I'm sure there's a Rolls-Royce technician out there saying there's a much easier way to do this, but this is my only way I know how. There we are. So a nice bit of polystyrene. And let's see if we can get this one out as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. One thing I'm keen on doing is not damaging these so that they don't have splits or anything in them for any future owner. Just getting hold of the things. And it's got to come up straight, this one, and I'll show you why. It's got two grooves here and here. I'll show you what that goes into. So that big bit is out the way. Now, let's have a look under here. I have no idea what this is. Something to do with the car. Comment below if you know. But here are my two new batteries already installed. Now they're held in by three little long metal poles on little brackets down here and here as well, one in the middle. So that's the replacement for the small one. This is the larger one, and you've got all the electrics coming off there. And I wish I'd filmed it in the first instance, because I was huffing and puffing. They weigh an absolute ton, and at arm's length they're an absolute pain to get in and get out. But you can see some of the, I presume this is some sort of sound deadening. I don't know if that's fallen down actually. It is sound deadening, isn't it? Yeah, I think that has fallen down. The glue's got weak. But I mean, that was effort enough to get them out. But we now have two stonking new batteries in there. They're not Rolls-Royce official ones. I didn't do that the first time around. I didn't do it this time around. I managed to get these from a car trade counter local to me, and the replacement cost of both batteries was £231, including the sales tax. Now, I actually didn't think that was too bad for two Rolls-Royce batteries. I know, it's a warm day today. I know that if I bought them from Rolls-Royce and if I had someone fit them from Rolls-Royce, they're probably in the region of £800 for the two. I know my friend that I mentioned earlier with the R8 put his into Audi, and that was over £650 for a new battery and fitting, because they said the battery needed programming to the car, which I was a bit confused about because I don't know what you can program in a battery. Maybe someone can tell me that as well. But I now have two sparkling new batteries in the car. I've had it on charge using my C-Tech charger, and the C-Tech charger is really good because it links to an app on your phone, and that means you can easily see what percentage charge, what the watts are, what the amps are. It tells you all things about it. And on certain batteries it can recondition the battery. Now, I don't know whether these are the type that have that or not, but I think because my batteries are non-start stop style batteries, it makes them slightly cheaper, because you don't need that extra functionality or extra power boost, I presume, that's required every 5 minutes in traffic. So just wanted to share that with you today, so you could have a look, see what I have been up to with the back of my Rolls-Royce. Once I'd installed these batteries, I did have an additional problem, because what happened was some of the sensors weren't talking to each other quite right. And I find this with this car, if it's ever lost power or reduced power on the batteries, the sensors just don't work properly. And it went straight into limp mode, and I thought, oh no. And this was the day before using it for Festival of Speed. So went into limp mode, I started it, stopped it, ran the engine, warmed it up, and I was with David that you saw briefly in the car that took us down to Festival of Speed, and he said, why don't you run it up and down the road, because what was coming back was the one of the control modules for all the brakes and the ABS and the stability control, and the control module had apparently failed. But looking at it and doing some more research, and David also, we're both on ChatGPT or Google trying to work out what the problem was, because it was 12 o'clock the day before Festival of Speed and we wanted it to be reliable for the next day, but it was currently in limp mode, so it would only do next to no miles an hour. And he said, why don't you run it up and down the lane and see, because it's out of the gates here, it is a private road, so there's not much traffic to interfere with the car, or if I broke down it would be safe. And I did that, and gradually it cleared a couple of faults. And if you remember in my previous video on taking it down for an MOT or getting it ready to go for an MOT, it had a problem with a tyre sensor, and I thought it had a puncture. That didn't actually turn out to be a puncture. That turned out just to be the sensor, and I think it was all down to low wattage, voltage, I don't know my electrics, in the car, and it wasn't reading properly. So new batteries, that's okay, but it took a minute for all these 22-year-old, 23-year-old communications between all the car's computers to sort of catch up with themselves. So as I drove it up and down the road, the engine management light and limp mode disappeared, and it just came up with a fault for tyre pressure, and that the tyre pressure sensor was out. And someone kindly said that in a previous video when I had a tyre warning light come up, that actually on his Rolls-Royce he gets that quite a lot and he just ignores it. There's a fault with them, they fail fairly frequently. I think it's one of the more dodgy parts. Yeah, it's early technology, isn't it, 23 years ago. So and he just lives with that problem, and that's the same problem I then had. But I took it down the road, got some fuel, and after getting some fuel, and this is not related to the problem, but after getting some fuel, I was then restarting the car, and sure enough, it then came back to me and said, I'm absolutely fine and happy now. I've got fuel, I've got electric, I've got everything I need to work. So actually, after getting fuel, I then didn't have a fault with the car, and it drove us faultlessly to Goodwood and back again in absolute style. So it's now up and running, working. We've got 2 new batteries on the car. It's got that new sensor. The next thing will be is a trip to P&A Wood to get it serviced by them. It's due a service, and we'll do that in the next couple of weeks, next month maybe, and make sure that's all serviced up together. So just wanted to give you an update on 2 new batteries being fitted to the Rolls-Royce. I will try and capture it when I do it next time, but it was all a bit of a rush to get the car ready for Goodwood and get down there. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, it does make a massive difference, and we are over 3,120 subscribers I think now, which is absolutely brilliant. Since being back on YouTube in the last couple of weeks, I think we put on 250 subscribers, so it is all very much appreciated and really helps out the channel. I can't explain enough as to how much it helps if you hit the like button or subscribe or do both. Would be absolutely fabulous. So just wanted to share that with you. The old girl is back on the road, and we're having some fun with her, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.